In the investigation, nearly 5 years after a suspect placed 2 pipe bombs outside both the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. Despite a $500,000 reward, hundreds of hours of video interviews with 900 and some people, still no charges have been filed and no one has been arrested. There are unverified reports about a former Capitol police officer who now works with the CIA as perhaps someone who could be connected. And joining us this morning to break it all down is retired veteran FBI special agent in charge and former head of the Chicago PD, Jody Weis. Good morning to you, Jody. Nearly 5 years have passed since this incident. Investigators had no problem, as we know, hunting down every single person in the Capitol on January 6th. Why have we not heard more about this report, though, from the FBI, from the DOJ, from U.S. Capitol Police? What is going on here?
Yeah, good to see you, Jen, and happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans out there.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, this is really interesting to me. This was an explosive report, it's true. And in keeping with the FBI's tradition, they will not normally confirm or deny any case going on. But keep in mind, this claim was based on gait analysis. That is not standalone evidence like fingerprints or DNA. So there's going to have to be a lot more work on this before the government comes forward and actually says something about this. But they have to, because this is such an explosive report. At some point, I've got to believe the Department of Justice is going to have to address this.
And talk about the actual bombs, because as we know, they never went off. Let's kind of revisit this story, because it's, you know, memories right now are different 5 years later.
Yeah, any bomb is going to have 3 components. There's going to be an explosive filler, there's going to be a container, and there's going to be some type of fusing device. In these devices, the explosive was actually homemade black powder using potassium nitrate, sulfur, and charcoal. The container was galvanized pipe, 8 inches long with threaded end caps. Now, the fusing system is where it gets a little convoluted. The bomber used a kitchen timer tied to a power source with some igniters involved in it. Now, the question comes up, why didn't these devices go off? Were they supposed to be a hoax device? The FBI and the ATF has said these devices should have functions. All the necessary components were there. The thought process is the timers jammed, or that the batteries ran out of juice and did not ignite the actual igniters, thereby not causing the explosive mixture to burn.
So if, let's just say, they were part of a hoax, was it a diversion? If this was part of a training mission, would this have already been relayed to everybody?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can't believe on an event like January 6th, so we knew a lot of people were going to be on the Capitol, that this was a training mission. So I would rule that one out.
Okay.
Bombs are typically used for diversionary devices. Oftentimes, law enforcement will use like a flashbang as a diversionary device. So then the question comes up, why? Was the bomber trying to pull resources, bomb squad resources, over to the RNC and DNC headquarters from the Capitol? And why? There were no bombs found at the U.S. Capitol. So until we track this person down and can actually interview him, we're never going to really know.
And I think my question too is you know, this a couple of reports online name someone, which I thought was really interesting. Because if it's not true, that there's a huge liability there for libel. If it is true, why is this person still working allegedly in law enforcement? I mean, what's next in all of this? This is, like you said before, why isn't someone coming out, especially in the federal government, saying this is not true, this is just, we don't know where this came from? Wouldn't they have done that as well?
Yeah, 100%. You said it, you're spot on. If this isn't true, what a slanderous event this would be, and how much liability does that news agency have? But if it is true, if it's new information, I've got to believe the Bureau is going to be looking very deep at this person, full background investigation, and then they're going to have to be interviewed to try to put this in place. But you're right, working in a law enforcement capacity right now, having allegedly been part of the U.S. Capitol Police, this has to be evaluated, and we have to get answers from this. Yeah. And the sooner the better, because the more this runs, people are going to start asking questions, you know, start smelling like cover-up and what's going on. So I'm sure we'll hear something soon.
That's right. And there's something, the timing of it, why. There's so many unanswered questions in this, and I'm sure hopefully we'll get answered soon. Retired veteran FBI special agent in charge and former head of the Chicago PD, Jody Weis. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Jan. Have a good day.
You too.